The Metal Gear series is a gaming franchise that has been around since the 1980s. What started as a shoot-'em-up style action game evolved into a more complex genre, with stealth, action, and philosophical themes. The game series has had an impact on gamers and other developers throughout the years. In this video, I'm going to go over the main 9 titles in the series, and not the spin-off games. Now, let's take a ride through the Metal Gear series. The 1960s, Japan. The story begins with a man named Hideo Kojima, who was born on August 24th, 1963, in Setagaya, Tokyo. However, his family moved to Osaka when he turned 4 years old. His family had a tradition of watching movies at night when his father got home from work. It was from this experience growing up that he took an interest in filmmaking. The 1980s. In 1986, Kojima got a job at Konami, a Japanese multinational entertainment company and game developer. While at Konami, he was asked to work on the Metal Gear game for the MSX, which was a home computer. In 1987, the original Metal Gear was released, and a modified version was released later that year for the Famicom in Japan, and then later in America in 1988 for the Nintendo Entertainment System. The main character of the game is Solid Snake, a Special Forces operative from the unit Foxhound. Snake goes on a mission to the fortified state known as Outer Heaven to rescue the captured Foxhound operatives and destroy the Metal Gear, a walking tank with the ability to launch nuclear weapons. Toward the end of the game, we find out that the mercenary leader of Outer Heaven is an enemy known as Big Boss. Big Boss revealed he was trying to establish his own mercenary force. Then towards the end of the game, when Big Boss loses most of his forces, he decides to blow up the compound, and then Snake beats him in a final battle and escapes. As far as gameplay, users can have Snake either avoid enemies or try to face them head on. If Snake is detected by enemies, he could always go outside the area that he's in and come back and reset their alert. And this duality of either being stealthy and cautious or going berserk and shooting and fighting everything on sight would become the Metal Gear series theme. After the game's success, particularly in the United States, Konami began working on a sequel for the game. However, Kojima wasn't informed of the development until later on. Apparently, the story is he heard about it from a coworker outside of work. Kojima would eventually make his way back onto the team. This time, the developers wanted to build more upon the espionage part of the game, and Kojima wanted to expand on the Metal Gear story. The 1990s. In 1990, Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake was released on MSX2. And let me tell you, the opening theme song of this game absolutely slaps. It sounds like the intro to some 1980s action movie, or maybe even a montage. Anyways, in this game, Snake returns to infiltrate another heavily fortified zone known as Zanzibar Land to rescue a scientist and destroy another version of Metal Gear, Metal Gear D. The player tries to sneak his way around enemies and maneuver through the different zones of the game. However, it is revealed to Snake that Big Boss actually survived from the last game and is now the leader of Zanzibar Land. In 1995, 1 year after the launch of the PlayStation, which allowed for games to have 3D graphics, the development of another Metal Gear began taking place. This time, Hideo Kojima was able to add more content to the game. Then, in 1998, Metal Gear Solid was released on PlayStation. In this game, Snake returns to combat his former unit, Foxhound, which turned renegade. The Foxhound unit is in a weapons facility on an island off the coast of Alaska, called Shadow Moses. They developed another Metal Gear called Metal Gear Rex, which almost looks similar to that robot on the RoboCop movie. Anyways, this game had a unique set of bosses, like Revolver Ocelot, whose aim was so good he could bounce bullets and hit their marks. Then there's Gray Fox, who is a cybernetic ninja that could use an invisibility camouflage cloak. And there's Liquid Snake, who's a clone of Big Boss and Solid Snake's brother. And then there's Psycho Mantis, who has telekinetic powers and would break the fourth wall and scan how many times you saved the game, and read the games on your memory card. And I'm grateful he didn't have the ability to scan our internet history, because he would have had to go to therapy for the freaky things he would have seen in that browser. Or would have introduced us as to why he's wearing that freaky man leather suit and a gas mask. Anyways, I'm moving on. This game also introduced the introduction of the Snake death screen. Whenever Snake dies, it's followed by the yelling of his name.
Snake, are you okay? Snake? Snake?
Snake? Snake?
Snake? Snake?
I'm so sorry, y'all. It's just bringing back memories of me playing this game and yelling that out every time I died. Anyways, this game was so successful, it sold roughly 6 million copies in its first year. And in 1999, development of the next Metal Gear began taking place. This next game would draw on conflicts in the Middle East, as well as having elements from the movie The Matrix, which was popular at the time. The 2000s. In 2001, Metal Gear Solid 2: Sons of Liberty was released. In this game, players only play as Solid Snake for the prologue. And then after that, they play as Raiden, a young rookie agent. Raiden must infiltrate a facility known as Big Shell, which was taken over by a terrorist group called Sons of Liberty. They captured the facility during a tour by US President James Johnson, and are holding him hostage along with others. Raiden is guided by the Colonel and his girlfriend Rosemary. Raiden also faces an assortment of bosses in this game, like Fortune, who comes in like an absolute boss, with jazz music playing in the background. She has the ability to cause bullets and projectiles to veer away from her. She also uses a railgun as her main weapon. Then there's Vamp, who has superhuman abilities like running on walls and super strength, and Solidus Snake, the main antagonist, who was the 43rd President of the United States, and he wears an exoskeleton suit that enhances his abilities, and a couple of tentacles like the octopus from Spider-Man. Anyways, the game's story was ahead of its time. Halfway through the story, President Johnson reveals that a shadow group called the Patriots are the true rulers of the United States, and every president is just a pawn in their plans.
I wanted absolute power.
But you're the president. You have power.
No, I'm just a figurehead.
What?
I don't have any control. The real power is in the Patriots' hands.
The Patriots?
The truth behind this country.
It is also revealed that the Big Shell facility houses an artificial intelligence, or AI, underneath it, called GW. Along the way, Raiden rescues Emma Emmerich, a computer programmer, that uploads a virus into GW. However, she is stabbed in the process, and the virus is only partially uploaded. The Colonel begins acting out of the ordinary, and Raiden discovers that the Colonel is part of the AI, as well as Rosemary.
The age of digitized communication has given even more power to the individual. Too much power for an immature species.
Building a legacy involves figuring out what is wanted and what needs to be done for that goal. All this you used to struggle with. Now we think for you.
We are your guardians, after all.
You want to control human thought, human behavior?
Of course. Anything can be quantified nowadays.
The story of the AI and Shadow Group running America is parallel to the society that we are living in today. Although serious talks about artificial intelligence have been around for decades, it really started coming to light with the automated messages from customer service lines.
Customer service is becoming less human.
The less money organizations spend on service, the more profitable they are.
And that's making the rest of us crazy.
And let's not forget about that Tupac hologram at Coachella in 2012. And more recently in the 2020s, as people are using AI for searches, writing stories, or their resumes, or even creating images and videos. It'll eventually get to the point where you can't tell what's real and what's fake. Anyways, that's too much conspiracy, and I'm moving on. The game has received a great reception from fans and critics, and was one of the best-selling games of the year. In 2004, Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater was released on PlayStation 2. In this game, players control Naked Snake, a CIA agent whose mission is to rescue a Russian rocket scientist named Nikolai Sokolov from the Soviets. The game is set in 1964, which is 31 years before the original Metal Gear. Most of the game takes place in a Soviet forest, and Snake has to rely on his stealth and the environment to avoid detection as much as possible. The game also introduces a stamina gauge, a healing system, and hand-to-hand combat known as Close Quarters Combat, or CQC. When Snake finally meets Nikolai Sokolov, it is revealed that the Russians had him working on the Shagohod, which is a large tank capable of firing nuclear weapons. As Snake attempts to rescue him, he is intercepted by the boss. She betrays Snake and kidnaps Sokolov for her benefactor, Colonel Volgin. In the aftermath of the boss's betrayal, Snake is tasked with destroying the Shagohod and stopping Colonel Volgin and destroying the boss. Speaking of bosses, some of the bosses in this game include the Pain, who has the ability to control a hornet swarm. There's a younger version of Revolver Ocelot, who made an appearance in Metal Gear Solid, and the Boss, who uses a high-powered rifle and reveals, why she defected to the other side. Snake eventually destroys Volgin and stops the Shagohod and kills the boss. At the end of the game, Naked Snake is awarded the title Big Boss by President Johnson.
You are above even the boss. I hereby award you the title of Big Boss.
And it's revealed to players that they have been playing as Big Boss the entire time. This game received good reviews from fans and critics. Then in 2005, Kojima and his team began working on the next game in the series. Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriot was released in 2008. This time players played as an older Solid Snake in an alternate version of 2014. The world is in endless conflict through civil wars fought by private military companies, or PMCs. Also, nanomachines are equipped by soldiers to monitor their performance. Yes, nanomachines. And also there's robots. The game starts off with soldiers riding into a conflict zone and fighting a battle. We then see an older Snake, cloaked like an Assassin's Creed character, making his way through the battlefield. As the game progresses, it is revealed that Liquid Ocelot is still alive and running a rebel private military company in the Middle East. So Snake is tasked with killing him. Now some of the bosses. As Snake makes his way through the game, he comes across a variety of bosses. Some of them include Crying Wolf, a sniper that you have to fight in a blinding blizzard. There's Vamp, who was in Metal Gear Solid 2, and has a breakdance fight with Raiden. And Liquid Ocelot, who has Revolver Ocelot's body but Liquid Snake's persona. After a battle with Liquid, it is revealed to Snake that GW, the AI from the last game, was revived. And Liquid is going to use it for his army. And also use a nuclear strike to destroy the Patriots. Later in the game, Snake and Liquid Ocelot have a Metal Gear battle, with Snake winning. Then Snake uses a computer virus to take down the Patriots and the AI network. Afterwards, Snake and Liquid fight it out one last time, with Snake emerging victorious. In 2010, Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker was released for the PlayStation Portable, then the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 in 2011. The game takes place in Costa Rica in 1974, 10 years after the events of Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater. It goes deeper into the story of Big Boss. The game starts in Colombia with Big Boss pulling up on a motorcycle and walking towards a beach where soldiers are training in hand-to-hand combat. Some people pull up in a vehicle looking for Big Boss. There's Cass, also known as Kazuha Miller, who is one of Big Boss's informants, and Paz, a young girl from Costa Rica, and the other man is Professor Galvez from a university in Costa Rica, who wants to hire Snake and his soldiers to help with fighting off soldiers that have been taking over Costa Rica. Later in the game, it's revealed that Professor Galvez is part of the Soviet KGB, and that the rogue soldiers taking over Costa Rica are rogue CIA agents. Towards the end of the game, Big Boss becomes the founder of Outer Heaven, and has to fight Paz, who is piloting the Metal Gear Zeke. This game's cutscene graphics are different from other games in the sense that it's almost like a Japanese comic book. Then in 2014, Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes was released. This game takes place after the events of Peace Walker. The game starts out at a military installation known as Camp Omega, where we see prisoners of war held captive in handcuffs and in some cages. Then there's a narration between Big Boss and Kazuha.
10 days ago, we got reports that Paz was still alive.
She survived.
She was rescued by a Belizean fisherman who found her drifting in the Caribbean.
So what's the plan? Silence her before we're compromised?
No. I've got something else in mind. Our friends at Cypher suspect Paz could be a double agent. She's being held for interrogation at a camp on the southern tip of Cuba.
It's revealed that Paz is being held at Camp Omega, along with another captive named Chico. The player then assumes the role of Big Boss, as they try to infiltrate the camp and retrieve the two captives. After Snake retrieves the two targets, they put them on a helicopter and fly back to Mother Base. However, it's shown that Paz has a bomb surgically implanted in her, and as they remove the first bomb, it's shown that Mother Base is being attacked. Also, Paz gets up and reveals that she has another bomb implanted in her, just before jumping off the helicopter and blowing up. In 2015, Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain was released, and it was the last game in the series that Kojima worked on before leaving Konami. This game is set after Ground Zeroes. Shortly after the end of the last game, Big Boss fell into a coma for 9 years, and is awakened. The game starts with Big Boss waking up from his coma and seeing a nurse overlooking him. She then runs and gets the doctor, and it is revealed that Snake had lots of shrapnel in his body after the explosion. And also, they had to amputate his left hand. The doctor is killed by a mysterious woman. She then tries to kill Big Boss, but he is rescued by a patient named Ishmael. The hospital gets attacked, and Ocelot eventually comes to rescue him. Sometime after the rescue, Ocelot and Big Boss are riding through Afghanistan, and Ocelot revealed that Kazuha had been captured by Soviet forces and was being held captive in the area. The player then sets out to find and rescue Kazuha. In this game, Big Boss is trying to stop the XOF, a rogue group headed by their leader, Skullface. He wants to release a parasite into the world that kills anyone that speaks English, and also use the Metal Gear known as Sahelanthropus as a threat for nuclear weapons. This game introduces players to a larger map for them to freely roam, unlike the other games in the series. Also, vehicles and horses are usable for transportation. The game also allows for players to build up Big Boss's base by kidnapping enemies and upgrading parts of the base. Some of the bosses in this game include the Parasite Unit, or the Skulls, which are special soldiers that wear advanced suits that allow them to either move quickly or hide in a mist. Then there's the Burning Man and a younger Psycho Mantis, and apparently he started wearing leather at a young age. You fight them both at the same time by trying to douse the Burning Man with water. And once he's defeated, it's revealed that he's also wearing a leather-clad suit, probably forced on him by Psycho Mantis. Anyways, his identity is revealed to be Colonel Volgin from Metal Gear Solid 3. And then there's Quiet, a sniper who's quite titillating. I mean, exhilarating. Yes, exhilarating. She provides an exhilarating boss fight in an abandoned temple area, as she snipes you from far away. And after you beat her, you end up capturing her, and she joins forces with you, providing assistance along the way. At the end of the game, it's revealed that the gamer was playing as a decoy Venom Snake, aka Big Boss, who escaped from the hospital in the beginning of the game. The real Big Boss goes on to establish Outer Heaven, which starts the events of the original Metal Gear. And this brings the series full circle. Metal Gear is a narrative about war, control, identity, and the human cost of conflict. Through its evolving gameplay and ambitious storytelling, the franchise pushed the boundaries of what video games could achieve as far as social and political commentary. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe for more. This concludes another episode of The Voice of Rhino.